Hey, IDS 302. Welcome to Module 3. It is Sunday, March 27th, about 12:25. I am sitting here in Tempe on Mill Avenue. It's the Tempe Art Fest going on. I'm going to test this to see if you're getting too much background noise or anything because it's halftime, there's baseball, and there's NCAA, and I got hiccups. It's a catastrophe, convergence of lousy events. Anyways, let's get this one going. Looking at module 3. Yeah, that's it. Okay, first, I guess I wanted to talk about the discussion board review of the not identifying disciplines, just finding those disciplines. The intention of that, of course, is to give you a long list to show you that there are a number of academic fields. Many are more narrow nowadays than they used to be, more general, math, science. And and I'd like you to get some idea that those are disciplines out there that somewhere along the line you could probably get a degree in or a certification. The the goal on that was just to open up a little bit of your view to see what's available. And I hope that went well. Most of you chose well. I want to remind everybody about capitalizing the disciplines. Again, I had some people that capitalize the word discipline. You don't do that. You just capitalize the discipline. It's like the same as if I'd said capitalize last names. Same thing. Capitalize disciplines. If you don't do it, you get deducted. Okay, I try to make it really clear. And I'm sure you're going to do well. Overwhelmingly, majority of you did. Um, in the quiz review I just did, everybody did quite well, except there were a couple, few that still looked like they were struggling on the concept, the disciplinary concepts. So to look at that real quickly again, I just want you to remember that this is just to give you context to where interdisciplinary fits in on a disciplinary viewpoint. So at the bottom of that period, you have intradisciplinary. That's one discipline. That's what most people do, right? I'm getting a degree in engineering. Okay, it's singular, one degree. I mean, one discipline. It's intradisciplinary. Then you move up to cross-disciplinary. That is when you work with one discipline through the eyes of another. Okay, through the uh, mathematics of music, right? Through the architecture of sustainability or sustainability of architecture. You're looking through it more or less. It's not it's not side by side or an integration. Multidisciplinary is next, and that is anything two or more disciplines. So, you know, you could see in working with the old space shuttles or something. You had a department working on engineering, a department working on probably mathematics in terms of the flight. You had all these separate disciplines. It was multidisciplinary. They were from the same organization of NASA. They were doing different things. In terms of an individual, well, I'm studying, on one hand, you could be studying business, and you could be doing a double major, business and agriculture, or you could be doing, sustainability and entrepreneurship. These are your double majors or a major minor, and it just means you're doing two or more disciplines at the same time, whether in analysis or in academia. Next is interdisciplinary, and that's us, of course. And we are the same as the multidisciplinary, except the primary and most important difference is that we endeavor to integrate. We don't just do two separate things, a major and a minor, double major, and then they go their separate ways. We use them. We're doing these two things, and then we're integrating, though, before we get to that goal. So this research then is to do that integrative research, put it together, look at things for two or more disciplines, in this case, three disciplines, but then integrate before we get to the end. Um, Finally, there's transdisciplinary at the top of the heap. And that is, it goes beyond the disciplines. So consider that involving stakeholders, where what we're talking about below that is academics, academia, academics. But above that, we're talking about, thanks, we're talking about let's say, for example, domestic terrorism. And again, you would have involved in that um, looking at, you know, economics, looking at border immigration, looking at the stakeholders involved being property owners, chamber of commerce, business. Those don't represent disciplines, they represent stakeholders. That's different. Transdisciplinary goes beyond the discipline. It looks at the problem, the complex issue, and says, who do we need to solve this? Okay. In your case, the complex issue has been chosen based on your topic choice that I approved or didn't approve and you modified. And that's what you're going to be doing to go through the step by step by step by step by step process, 5 steps. So don't think you're going to get everything done in this first step. It's a compilation. Again, I remind you that there is a sample of full, complete papers to give you an idea what it looks like to do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to give you that context. Right now, we're working on step 1, which is due tonight. And step 1 has very specific criteria. I won't go over it again, but you're basically defining the complex issue that you chose, and you're looking into that, right? Looking at that and fulfilling the obligations of that step, okay? Let's talk about, also step 1 cautionary, as all steps are until the final one. I don't want any cover page, no cover page, no cover page. Did you hear that? I don't want any abstract, okay? No abstracts, no cover page, no colors. I would like you to capitalize the disciplines you use, of course. For example, I just want to say, if your discipline has an acronym, like artificial intelligence, you introduce that discipline, artificial intelligence, and immediately after, in parentheses, you put A period, I period, AI. Then you can use AI going forward, but you have to introduce it first, okay, the entire worded thing, all right? Make sure you're using in-text citations appropriately. Don't just guess. You will get dinged for that. Do not guess. APA citations are formatted in a specific way. I've provided you with resources and examples. Um, Make sure that any type of in-text citation you have matches with your reference list, your works cited list, and vice versa. Anything in your works cited list matches with an in-text citation. That's how it has to be. Make sure that your reference list is in hanging paragraph format. No line gaps between entries. Make sure your entire paper is in Times New Roman 12-point font with double line spacing. Okay. Be careful about overusing italics. Do not use long quotes. Anything over 30 or more words is a long quote, and it needs to be formatted differently. And papers this short should not feature long quotes. Okay. So keep them small, all right? Keep them short. Easter egg number 1 is capitalize the disciplines. Capitalize disciplines, okay? You got that, right? I want to remind you of that. All right, so to enter the readings this week, chapters 7, 8, and 9, okay? Chapter 7, Intro to Interdisciplinary Research, is only about 10 pages. Chapter 8 is Methods of Integration, 15 pages. And chapter 9 is describing interdisciplinary integrative learners. So very important, each of these chapters, probably the most important readings in this course. For intro to interdisciplinary research, as well as methods of integration, extremely important. I got a whole bunch of things highlighted in these sections, and I don't want to waste your time because you just need to read it and look at it. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. But certainly you can see I've got a lot of stuff going on in 7, 8, and 9 to highlight that there are certain conditions for successful interdisciplinary research, certain conditions. Read that. It's important to know when is it good, when is it not good. Conditions for integration, okay? Mapping the problem. We're probably not going to do that, except we are going to do the annotated bibliography in chapter 3. Um, in chapter 8, then methods of integration, they're going to talk a lot about the integrative framework and knowledge transfer, different types, near transfer, far transfer. There is high road, low road, and such. If I had this class face to face, we'd be talking a lot more about these backwards reaching transfer. That's so loud. This is a big test for these AirPods. Forward reaching transfer, hugging, bridging, detecting, connecting, elect. So that's good. And then finally, chapter 9, it's important to know what makes you an integrative interdisciplinarian? Because these are important terminology and things to know for your own elevator pitch. For what are you going to tell, prospective employers or clients when you're selling yourself, right? You need to have a real good way to differentiate yourself from disciplinarians or specialists, right? Okay. Um, Easter egg two, I didn't think of it, but I'm just going to say, do the readings, okay? Because if you don't do the readings, you're going to be in trouble with the text and with the quizzes. So then we have a discussion board due April 1st. That's Hal Brown, the incomplete stories of an irregular guy. Hal, I consider my big brother. He's not, of course, but he's my friend. I made this film in 2016 as my capstone for my master's degree in interdisciplinary studies. So there's a connection there. And I'd like you to look at this, and I'd like you to consider disciplines that you believe are connected with this, in making this, and what's going on. And I want to see what you find. The reason I'm doing this exercise is for you to look at, it's only a 33-minute video, for you to look at certain things through an interdisciplinarian's eye. Interdisciplinarian, the emphasis on disciplinary, is academic, okay? So we don't look at everything academically, but some things we can, and we can understand there are disciplines that study certain things. As I walk around this art fair and see different types of art, I can consider when I see clothing, how fashion is a discipline involved in this. Entrepreneurship, setting it up, is a discipline involved in this. And those artists are integrating those things to being an entrepreneur, to be a fashion designer, okay, as well as other things. So this is the way I look at it as an interdisciplinarian, as an integrative learner, okay? So that's Hal Brown. Discussion board is due on the 1st. Late responses are not accepted. Then you got quiz 3 due on Saturday. And this quiz has 30 multiple choice and true or false questions. I think it's half and half. 1 point each, 30 points total. It's not enough, but it's quite simple. And it reviews and asks you to reference the Meath reading. Remember we started Meath, was the one when I talked about from disciplinary perspectives. And then the Tanner's chapter 1 through 6. You'll have 60 minutes to complete and submit the quiz, okay? Then we get to step 2, all right? And for step 2, I'm going to get to that here in a second. How are we doing on time? Not bad, actually. Okay, step 2. Once again, I'm giving you samples, just so you know. Trying to make it so the instructions are written well, for those who respond well to written instructions. There are samples for those who respond well to seeing what was done. And then there's me talking about it for those who like to listen, and then you formulate from all 3 of those. Ask your questions, okay, about it. That's great. I've gotten a few questions about step 1. If you sent them to me, that's great. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to justify an interdisciplinary approach. Remember, the first step was to identify the complex problem and such. The second step is to justify an interdisciplinary approach. Why does this topic require an interdisciplinary approach for a better chance of resolution, for analysis, etc.? Okay? Look at this, take it literally. What meaningful questions can you ask about the issue problem? These are rhetorical questions, though, How are they interdisciplinary? What makes them meaningful? Okay, so take a look at this. Their instructions are very specific. I don't need to read them to you here. There are 3 subsections: interdisciplinary justification, assumptions of study, limitations of study. Okay, use the samples clearly here, especially when it comes to the assumptions of the study and limitations of the study. Most of those are going to be similar on every paper. Assumptions, not so much, because it's tailored to each one. Assumptions of a study on second gun rights. Assumption study you have may mean that when you do survey random adults, you're going to find that they're overwhelmingly in support of Second Amendment rights, okay? Or you want to assume that there will be a polarization. There might not be much middle ground. or an assumption of sustainability issues might be that we're in favor of it. However, we're not doing as much as we should. These are assumptions of the study. Before you do the study, good researcher kind of makes some assumptions, gets that out of their system, kind of understands that those assumptions could mean some type of bias, but no work. Then you've got limitations of the study. Look at the samples. Go ahead and use a lot of that. One limitation of study is the researcher is inexperienced. That's you, but you don't put me. You say the researcher is inexperienced. It's a single researcher project. Okay, it is done in 7 weeks. Very short. It's a limitation. Okay, and the data collection while being random adults is not, the ultimate best data, but it is something. Okay, so let me know what you think if you have any questions. Okay, remember your formatting again. I have it all listed here. Half of the instructions are formatting, including no I, me, my. I'm going to challenge you not to use those. Okay, 16 minutes. I think I am going to pretty much close this up because I'm going to find out if you can actually hear me, how much of that's bleeding through. It's pretty loud on my end. So, okay, let's say Easter egg number 3 is ask your instructor. That's me. Ask me if you have any problems. Set up a phone call with me sooner than later. If you wait till next Sunday to do step 2, you're going to be hurting. I can't guarantee I'm going to answer basic questions on a due date that could have been answered beforehand. So look at it. Do not procrastinate. Okay. And good luck. So far, so good. I think good class. All right. So forks up. Peace.